Is it going live? It looks like it is live. All right. Okie dokie. Let's fix this. And hold on, I will be back in a moment. Is there a way to pause this? I guess there is not. Alright, so I'm going to real quick tweet out a link to my stream. Alright, so let's take a look at this severe weather coverage. So we have a high risk day here in Oklahoma, Texas, and yeah, so it's high risk, and my computer does not want to load, of course. All right. I guess none of my tabs are going to load because they don't want to. So we have one tornado warning to the northwest of Oklahoma City, and it's kind of been cycling a little bit. We have a reported tornado near Paducah, Texas, and the storm. What is it? Tornado observed. Yeah. So we have all this. Then we have this storm here. No tornado observed as far as I know of. No, it's just radar indicated. And if we go to our BV, here's our rotation right there. And let's just take a slice right out of it. Hold on, let me take a bigger slice. There we go. That's a lot better. Alright. So we have some rotation in the atmosphere. It's not really near the ground yet, so this is a fairly broad rotation. But this type of system could have a tightening rotation. And, don't want to do another slice. And basically what we have is extreme moisture, extremely high CAPE, and we have a dry line in western Texas, warm front about in northern Oklahoma, and a low pressure somewhere in New Mexico, near the New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas area. And that's starting to push east. And then we have extreme wind shear. Wind shear from the north, or from the south rather, from the north, from the west and from the east. So we kind of have it mixing at different layers. Here's a new radar frame. Yeah, this looks pretty broad now. Let's look at our... It looks like it's starting to develop a much more defined notch. This is the kind of cell that's going to develop this, swing around, and it's going to... Once this really starts developing, we'll be able to see a hard right turn. But that happens only when these storms get really strong. El Reno was spared. They were under the tornado warning earlier. It looks like Oklahoma City is good for now. But there's more stuff coming. This is not all of it. There's going to be more stuff developing down here. We've got little cells like this. Even these little things, these little rain, puffy cumulus clouds, those are all going to develop into supercells at some point or another with an atmosphere like this. So you can see this was a pretty strong storm, but never dropped a tornado. Probably had a pretty low wall cloud. And let's just go to their site right here. There we go. And that was... Let's go to weather.cod. This is one of my favorite weather model sites. But we can also go to Pivotal Weather. There we go. So anyway, yeah. So there's a high risk for this area. And let me really quickly tweet out the link to this. So we have a high risk issued for the eastern Texas Panhandle and northern Texas, and then western and central and southwestern Oklahoma, and then a moderate risk around that, and then slight risks extending into Colorado, southern Texas, and Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. But I think the main action is going to be right around here. Doing live coverage today. All right. I don't know why I can't get this streaming quality to 1080p. I'm not really sure why, but 480 will work. Doesn't need to be perfect. So anyway, when we look at this, we have a high risk and then moderate all the way to Tulsa. And then we go into the tornado. 45% chance. The Oklahoma City and Norman area is right inside that 45% chance of EF2 or higher tornadoes. So when we read this, an outbreak of tornadoes are likely with potentially long track and violent tornadoes. And hold on, I'm just sharing something else. Going live. Right. All right, there we go. Okie dokie. So now I'm all set. Let me just have this open. All right. Just in case I need that. So anyway, we have a very extreme risk of tornadoes today. We've not seen a moderate risk since I believe a high risk in Oklahoma City since 1999, and that was the Bridge Creek, Oklahoma tornado, and that was an EF5. So there will be some weak capping, and that will allow the storm to kind of build up but also explode at the same time, and that's going to be pretty nasty because that's going to allow the storms to get really strong and really tap into that moisture before they go up. You're not just having these storms going up and dying out. You're having these storms really build up. There's also extreme shear in these areas. So by extreme shear, we mean 60 to 70 knot winds coming out of one direction, and then 70 knot winds, let's say, coming out of the not the opposite direction, but maybe a direction from the side or a slightly different direction that causes tumbling in the atmosphere, and that leads to tornadoes essentially. And when you have a really strong storm that develops a really strong updraft, it taps in that tumbling in the atmosphere, and you get this rotation, but it's not vertical, it's horizontal. But then as the storm gets stronger, it kind of stretches out and turns and becomes vertical, and if that rotating is enough, then you'll see this tornado drop. So let's look at this. So this storm looks like it's starting to cycle a little bit. They might let the warning expire, actually. There we go. I mean, the rotation's somewhat weak. It's not anything crazy, but it's enough to warrant a warning, especially in these conditions. It can rapidly develop a tornado, and we've seen that already with this storm. It just spun up and developed a tornado. So I don't use GR2 analysts very much, but the radar takes a really long time to load on here, and it bugs me. It's a very good software, but it's not. I prefer RadarScope. I don't have RadarScope for my computer. So once this loads, we will look and see how this storm near Childress and the one near Wellington are doing. And come on, KFDR, load. Anyway, though, this one had a reported tornado with it. A brief tornado on the grounds. I can't, for some reason, get radar. I don't know why. Oh, tornado reported up here. Tornado observed. Alright, so this storm is most likely cycled. This one, that's a pretty good rotation right there. Let's see what this storm north of Oklahoma City is doing, because that now is a confirmed tornado on the ground. I don't think this software is just killing my CPU. Let's see what this is doing. Come on. Load. Yeah, this is the one thing that kills me about this software. Anything loading just takes such a long time. So I'm probably going to mostly stay on this radar because it just takes so long to load anything. Let's look at the one Oklahoma. Well, hold on. Debris. Yeah, just tornado observed. Nothing to see. Oh, yeah, that's really strengthened up. Now we have a very strong inflow right there. And, oh, new thing. There's a tornado right there. We had a strong inflow right there. And now it's kind of switching. Since it's in a different direction now, the frames are a little different. Let's see what our rotation looks. Oh yeah, that's very strong rotation. That was my chair. I apologize. Yeah, that's very strong rotation. I wouldn't be surprised. You can already see kind of how these warnings are starting to shift a little bit right. Oklahoma City just avoided that. That's good. Let's look at what this looks like. Oh yeah, we have a little donut hole right in there. Pretty classic supercell. Let's see. Wouldn't be surprised if it developed a more defined hook and maybe a debris ball as it gets into this area. So if you're in Marshall level, Crescent, or Cimarron City, you need to seek shelter right now. There is a confirmed tornado, spotter confirmed tornado, on the ground. Let's see if there's any debris being lofted. It appears we might have some debris. Here, let me turn off smoothing. Yeah, it appears there's a little bit of debris, potentially. It's hard to tell. Let's take a slice into this. That was not a good slice. Hold on. Let me get a wider slice. So as you can see, we have this upper level wind moving this way and this lower level wind moving the other way. Then we have some weaker lower level winds also moving the opposite direction. So it looks like we have a weak tornado. Ooh. Yeah, this looks like a weak tornado most likely. Probably an EF1 or 2. I mean, it doesn't look like there's much debris. And this is a fairly unpopulated area northwest of the city, but these smaller towns still need to seek shelter and be safe. Let's go back to this. It definitely has a donut hole. And, yeah. No. I wish this software had a pen tool. Software had like a pen tool. That would be amazing. Because that would be very, very helpful. So we have this storm right here. Let's see what kind of hail's coming out of this. I can't find this. It looks like there's not much hail. Pea size to quarter size. Pea to quarter, somewhere in there. This is a pretty... It's a very early on supercell, so we don't have a super well-defined hook echo, but inflow and a reported tornado in donut hole. And we do have a reported tornado, and people here just need to take shelter. That's the best course of action. And it's starting to make that right turn that a lot of supercells do when they're strengthening. A lot of storms, they'll develop moving north, northeast, and then they'll take a very sharp turn to the right. So watch out, Cimarron City and Crescent. Even though it looks like it might be going more towards Level or Marshall, it could move east, and we could end up being impacted by the system. So yeah, there's the tornado report. Let's see. Tornado, Kingfisher, broadcast media. So it looks like a social media report, most likely. Then on some of these storms to the west, it looks like there's mainly a large hail threat. So like we're seeing hail indicators over an inch here and inch reports in several other places. So that seems to be the main threat up here. Not to say that we're not getting any that there are going to be no tornadoes. There will be. I can almost guarantee this area is going to see several tornadoes. It already has. But as of right now, this is mainly a hail area and straight line winds. But these supercells can easily spin up and drop a tornado with this kind of very volatile atmosphere. And that it's not good at all. This is a very scary situation. And I believe we have PDS watches out. Let's see. Let's check this. I believe there are PDS watches. Let's see what hail is. Yeah, hail's at 45%. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we have a PDS tornado watch. 199 tornadoes high. EF2 tornadoes high. Severe wind high. Everything is high. So basically, this is just like the watch that we had in 2011. These are the exact standards from the watch that we had in the high risk and moderate risk days of the 2011 super outbreak. This is significant, and this is an extreme event, and this should not be taken lightly. As the evening progresses, we will have more and more supercells develop, and more and more potentially impacted areas. So for now, it looks like the Oklahoma City area dodged a bullet. And let's see. Right, hold on. Let's go to our BR. Yeah, this hook is really starting to get its act together. Definitely got a donut hole right there. Let's check our correlation coefficient. And yeah, it looks like there is some debris. It's kind of hard to tell. It's very close to the radar, so it's very messy. It's a little bit close to the radar. Like you can see all this ground clutter. But it appears we have a blue pixel right there, a blue pixel here. It's generally lighter in this area. Not to say this is mostly ground clutter, but it looks like there could be debris in the air. So let's see. This is just east of Kingfisher. So what areas could be potentially impacted in the very, very short term? So this area, luckily, tornado was spotted right about here. It appears to be mostly farms. So the debris we're seeing could be a farm like this one. But as it moves northeast, the farms get a little bit more dense. And we see more and more buildings, trees, and it's still pretty scarce. And it's much better than a storm hitting, for say, Oklahoma City. But we can see it gets in this area, this Marshall area. If this storm stays together, there's a bit more populated. But still a pretty small town. But then we have these few small towns just kind of scattered about, and they just need to keep their guard up. Crescent, this is a little bit of a bigger town, and this would be a devastating hit if the storm were to curve right and drop a tornado over town, as well as over Cimarron City. So these areas just really need to keep their guard, have their guard up. Need to make sure that they have a tornado plan. And it looks like this cell over here is starting to develop some rotation. It's already reporting large hail, so that means that there's a strong updraft. The reason this cell is doing very well in dropping tornadoes is because this is the southeasternmost cell out of this kind of cluster here. So it can tap into the most moisture out of any of these other storms. Now this cell is starting to move out of the high risk area. The high risk of boundaries are about here, but that does not mean that it can't still have a dangerous tornado with it. And then we're seeing a bunch of flash flood warnings being developed with these clusters of storms. There's a potential for softball-sized hail, large damaging long track tornadoes, and flash flooding. So there's a very significant flash flood threat, and I believe there are flash flood watches out. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Let's see. I believe there are, though, because several inches of rain. Yeah, it looks like there are flash flood and flood watches out, and a few flood warnings for some of the river creek areas. So that means that these areas could be seeing significant flooding and tornado damage and large hail, and that is not good. Especially for chasers. If you're chasing a storm up here in this cluster, the roads might get washed out, and you could be stuck. You could get stuck or get caught in the path of a tornado, and that would not be good. Today's going to be a very today's a chase day for the experienced. I would say that if you're not very experienced in storm chasing, don't chase. If you live in the Oklahoma City area, do you know it? Wait for the storms to come to you. Stay home. Don't go out and chase. So don't add to the traffic. Don't add to the rush hour stuff that's going on. Just stay home. Stay inside once thunder starts roaring, and seek shelter if necessary, or using your own judgment, depending on how experienced with forecasting you are. If you are inexperienced, then just take shelter if you're anywhere in the morning. Getting any video or footage is just not worth risking your life to do. So let's see how this storm down near Childress is doing. Again, these radars are they take a while to load. So yeah, it does appear the storm to the northeast has developed a much more defined hook. And this storm down here, this has a much more the other storm, it's a bit more I don't know how to describe it. It's almost linear in fashion. This storm looks like a classic supercell with a classic hook. It doesn't appear that there's a debris wall per se. And spotters indicate a tornado on the ground. Tornado observed. And what's the hail? Hail size, 1.5 inches. And this is moving towards... Why is this giving me so few frames? And this is moving towards the Childress and Kirkland area. So if you're in these areas, you need to seek shelter immediately. There is a confirmed tornado and potential damage. Let's take a look at the reflectivity. And yeah, there's a pretty strong rotation right down there. And let's see. So yeah, it looks like it's right about here. And let's see what our correlation coefficient says. It's not picking up any debris right now. That does not mean that certainly we won't see any soon. And that doesn't mean that the tornado has lifted necessarily. This is a pretty rural area. And it most likely would just be dust that is being picked up. So this, the rotation... There's enough for a tornado to be there, and spotters have confirmed one. It is unknown currently if it's still on the ground, but either way, you need to seek shelter because the storm could cycle even if it doesn't have one on the ground immediately, and it could do a lot of damage. It looks like this storm might do a right and left split. Usually these storms have a little bit of rotation on the north side. Let's check this out. Yeah, it appears there is rotation on the north side of the storm as well. This one is not even in the warning, but that's also something to think about. These storms, even if the warning expires or it splits and there's severe thunderstorm warning, they can spin up a tornado at any moment and catch you off guard. That's what these storms like to do. Catch you off guard. It looks like this is really developing, actually. This might have been the original circulation. I don't know. I do not have the radar frames. And this could be the cycling one. This could be the dying, and this could be the cycling one. But this one still looks pretty strong, so they might issue another warning to the north with this cell. It looks like... Let's go back to the Oklahoma City radar. There we go. This storm still have a tornado on the ground. Yeah, it still has a tornado observed, 1 3/4 inch hail. And let's see what this says. It just takes 20 years to load. So looking at some of these weather models as well, at this point you can't really look at the models anymore because it's getting very close to the event. You kind of just have to wait it out on radar, and the radar at this point is going to be more accurate than looking at any of these weather models. But let's take a look at the 19Z model. This one is indicating it shows these few cells, or in this case there's one cell to the northwest of Oklahoma City, and then it shows more developing to the south and another one developing to the southwest. Of course, you have to take this with a grain of salt. This is not going to show every single cell that shows on here is not going to develop into a tornadic supercell. And then it looks like it bows out and becomes more of a linear storm mode as the dry line approaches and kind of conglomerates all the storms together. But then within that, you might also see, be seeing tornadoes spinning up in little kinks in the line. So now it looks like we have much stronger, much stronger rotation here. Even a donut hole where the radar cannot read the data, and it is just going to the northwest of Crescent. And yeah, that's some strong rotation right there. We got the inflow right there, and the outflow coming out this side. And let's take a look at the reflectivity. Yeah, the storm looks like it's being in the cycle a little bit, and it looks like it's trying to do that right turn. It's also, we're getting this kind of gust front type feature on it, so that means it is most likely cycling, and this gust front will choke off the circulation, and the gust front will die, and then it will recycle into a stronger, usually circulation. But this is coming right at level, and it doesn't seem like there's really much in between here. So, but if you are in this area, you need to seek shelter immediately. And let's take a, there's still a confirmed tornado on the ground as far as I know. These two storms do not have any confirmed tornadoes on the ground with them, but they could drop on at any time. That's why they're tornado warned. And we have a report of almost 3-inch hail. This is tennis ball sized hail right here, 2 3/4 of an inch, falling west of Wellington, Texas, southwest. So the day is already very active, and this is just the beginning. We are expecting to see more development to the south here, southwest of this area, because there's still a lot of dry, humid, untapped, moisture-rich air in the Lawton, Chickasha, Oklahoma City, El Reno area. Yeah, if you are in Lawton or Chickasha, even Norman in Oklahoma City, you just really need to be have your weather radio on if you own one. If you don't, make sure your alerts are on your phone. Check the weather. If you have a friend that knows a lot about weather, or gives or will update you, ask them for updates. Turn on the Weather Channel, a good National Weather Service site. Look at your radar app, even though it's not for most people, it's not GR2 Analyst or Radar Scope. It still will give you an idea of these storms and if there's a tornado warning or not for your area. And heed all warnings. These storms today are not something to mess around with, and they're a very serious threat. Looks like the tornado warning in Texas going into Oklahoma now has been expanded for Hollis and Gold and McQueen. It does not appear that tornado is now radar indicated, so that means it most likely has lifted if they expanded the warning and it wasn't confirmed. But it could still drop at any time. That's what tornado warning means. So let me see if I can. What happens if it's at 10? That didn't do anything. Yeah, the storm is starting to become outflow dominant, but that does not necessarily mean it's done. Is there no way I can make... I guess there's no way for me to do that. I just want to show more frames. Is there a way? Yeah, I guess there is no way for me to see farther frames back. I don't know. I'll figure that out. And again, we have this donut hole right here at the bottom of this storm. Still has, as far as I know, a confirmed tornado. And let's check the velocities with that. Yes, very, very strong rotation here. And let's check the correlation coefficient. And it does appear we could be seeing some debris being lofted into the air. Probably dust or trees, if anything, or leaves. But that's still more debris than we want to see. It looks like it will be to the south east of level, but it could move northwest or south southeast at any moment, and you have to be ready for anything. We have a very strong rotation in this area, and let's take a slice of this storm and see if we can see the tornado on here. We kind of lost that donut hole. I do not appear to be getting data in the world. And there is no data. Wonderful. Stop polling. Okay. Let's see if that works. Because I need data. There we go. Hold on. So it looks like it's hard to tell on here. Let's turn on that. There is rotation all the way to the surface, it appears. Yeah, it appears there's rotation all the way to the surface. And let's check correlation coefficient. It's not as convincing on here because we're not really seeing the debris at the surface. But now, yeah, we have this little outflow right here. Then we have rear flank downdraft over level. Most likely an intense rear flank downdraft hit that area of town. Rear flank downdrafts, they can be just as intense as the actual tornado itself. Sometimes you don't even need a tornado on the ground for there to be a rear flank downdraft. Wow, that is a impressive radar image. Let's see. Yeah, there could be debris. It's hard to tell. It hasn't really hit anything, and that's good. Even stronger rotation as indicated by the radar. So this is a extremely dangerous storm. And let's see, are there any reports still? See if they have an updated warning box. It just says tornado observed. But that makes sense. And we might have to switch to the radar to the northwest of this so we can get a better view of it. Because now it is much closer to the other radar. And yeah, let's do that. Whoops, don't want to take a slice of this. There we go. As you can see, these storms are very, very fast moving and will rapidly intensify and detensify. So that's something to watch out for. A storm that might be really weak and it could rapidly intensify, produce a tornado, and it can move right at you very, very fast. So this is a no joke situation, and you need to be prepared to take action and get into your safe place, especially for this storm up here. So looking at the model guidance, though, we have extreme CAPE. So CAPE between 4 and 5,000 joules, and significant tornado parameters higher than 10. Some in some areas they're even hitting 14 and 20. I mean, I've never seen any numbers like that. I think the highest number I've seen is 23. Well, today the highest number is about 23. I've never seen any tornado parameter numbers that high before. And when we look at the supercell composite, this does not tell the whole story of what's going on, but gives us a good idea. We see numbers at maxing out at 35, but mostly in the 25 to 35 range. Then we look at the UD helicity swaths. This really shows where these supercells are going to be. This is showing most of them staying west of the city of Oklahoma City, but that isn't necessarily the case. We'll only be able to tell later down the road when we see any of these cells popping up down here. And storms will be very tall because of the updrafts. And another dangerous thing that people often overlook when thunderstorms are approaching is the lightning. Lightning is extremely dangerous, and lightning can kill. Looks like Level just got missed by a potential tornado on the ground, but they could still be impacted by rear flank downdraft. Just go to this. A very intense circulation right here. Just very, very intense. Let's see. Let's check the VV. And it does appear the circulation is making it all the way to the ground. And we're not really seeing any debris at the moment. Maybe some small stuff like leaves being picked up. But let's check this latest scan. Storm still has a very strong updraft and a very intense tight circulation. And the storm to the west also appears to be strengthening rapidly. This is what you're going to see. These circulations right here. And let's see this. There's developing supercell right over Hennessy, Oklahoma. So let's tap into this radar and see what's going on. This is also quite far away from the radar up here, so let's use this one, because this one will be able to give us a closer to the ground look. Okay. Let's see what this looks like on the closer radar. It does not look as strong on the closer radar because of the proximity to it. It appears to be weaker, and looks like it's most likely just a very broad rotation, probably not tornado warning worthy. There are several indicators here, but not quite enough for a warning to actually be issued. Let's see how this storm is doing down here. Looks like it's cycling again. And we see this outflow right here. Then we have inflow coming in right here. And a strong rear flank downdraft right here. Yeah, that is rapidly strengthening. We're going to see maybe a debris ball develop in a second here. If it keeps strengthening like this, because we're getting into a more there are a lot of trees in this area now around these rivers and creek beds. Let's see what the yeah, we have a pretty strong, pretty tight circulation in that area. Still not really seeing any debris. So, but the circulation is still very sharp. Let's check the Oklahoma radar, see what's going on down here. It doesn't look like much is. That makes me wonder. Oh, we have a tornado spotted in Watauga, Oklahoma, and I'm guessing is either right here or right here, or maybe right there. There are a few circulations in there. It's hard to tell. I don't know. This is far from this radar. Yeah, this storm. It looks like it's splitting. Let me look at this. We have about 2 circulations, one down here and one up here. But let's look at this one up here, because now that we have a tornado spotted, and this tornado spotted warning appears to continue to continue have been extended, and it also appears that we have a rotation here, and that severe warning has just been added. Let's see. Tornado observed. Alright, let's check this. Trying to figure out where it would have been observed. It's hard to tell. There's a very messy storm, and there are multiple mesocyclones. Then we also have this cell, which is also strengthening. It appears a tornado was observed near Hitchcock. So if you're in Hitchcock, you need to seek shelter immediately, because there is moderate rotation and a observed tornado in this area. Play the loop. This only lets me do 3 radar loops. I don't understand why. Alright. So this storm up here, whatever tornado is here, appears to be weakening, but is still on the ground. With this extended warning, and it is going right towards Lucian and Perry. So if you're in those 2 areas, please seek shelter. Let's check that. Yes, and this circulation appears to be tightening. We have a much more well-defined hook echo now, as well as with the storm to the west. There's now it's starting to take a bit of a right turn. This one just developed, and then we have a confirmed tornado on the ground over here near Hitchcock, and then we have a bit of convection to the south near Oklahoma City. Especially west towards the Kingfisher area. It'll be interesting to see in the next few hours what this convection does. As you can see, this has kind of gone from more of a linear, almost supercell to a much more classic looking storm with a well defined hook echo, a bit of an outflow, but also very large inflow notch. So let's see what kind of warning we're looking at now. Observed still. Well, that's good. It appears that we do not have any large and extremely dangerous tornadoes on the ground. Yep, tornado observed. And let's see what the storm near Watanga. Tornado observed. So these are all storms that have observed tornadoes. And despite the fact that they do not have the extremely large and dangerous card on them, you still need to pay attention to them. Tornado is a tornado. An EF0 can do very significant damage. It can uproot trees and damage gas mains and do a lot. Oh, and here we go. Here's is this a debris ball maybe? Let's check the correlation coefficient. There's no debris very really visible. This could be actually. Hold on. It doesn't seem like there's really any debris visible, but we do have a very intense circulation here. Just go here. Oh. Yeah, it's definitely trying to get its act together, and there's a tornado on the ground or in progress. And you can see the base of the storm right here. Very intense updraft right there, and a potential tornado would be right there. And this agrees with that. We have rotations at all levels. So we just have to wait and see what the next scan does. This is going to most likely go tornado warned. It is quite outflow dominant right here, and that could tighten up a little bit later. Hold on, I want to get out of this tool right there. And then we have tornado warning to the west. Now we're starting to see convection here near Arcadia and Kingfisher. This little convection right here is the stuff that can suddenly become tornado warned and can drop the big tornadoes. And as of now, we have not seen any extreme tornadoes such as wedges by any means, but there have still been brief tornado reports and enough to do damage. So let's see what the Oklahoma City radar is looking like. And it's still looking pretty clear. We have the convection to the north, a few of these little showers. This is definitely going to be an interesting day on whether or not anything develops here. Now, the HRRR is not quite as bullish as it was this morning, and the storms on there were a bit more clustered together, and there was no independent development to the south of Oklahoma City during these runs. So we will have to wait and see what happens. Looks like this little cell near Arcadia starting to develop. Again, nothing super major right here. It's just these little cells that can later on develop. This has become a very high precipitation supercell. Any tornado in here is going to be rain wrapped, and you're not going to be able to see it at all. Let's check the BB. Yeah, it looks like we definitely have circulation right in here. It's definitely hard to tell. Not seeing a correlation coefficient, but definitely strong rotation. Yeah. And still supposedly a confirmed tornado in that storm. Um, so we also have several wind gusts in the Texas, mostly in Texas. We have some 75 mile an hour wind gusts near Tahoka, and about 60 mile an hour wind gusts in Lubbock, and then several severe thunderstorm warnings. Most of these storms are warned for just winds and hail, but also have a tornado possible card on them. Let's see. No, this one doesn't. Looks like the storm near Watanga is starting to get a little bit more organized. Still not sure where that tornado was spotted, since it doesn't have a spotter card like this. It just says tornado spotted. But the rotation that was here earlier is not really here anymore. Here we had a brief period of extreme rotation, and that could have been a strengthening, the storm strengthening, and we actually just had this new warning issued. All right, Lucian. If you are in Lucian, Oklahoma, you need to take cover right now. An observed tornado on the ground is coming towards your area, and this is a dangerous situation for that area, as well as for Perry. A sharp right turn is not out of the question. That happens in a lot of supercells. Happens in the past. Moore, Oklahoma, 2013, had a supercell developing. It was moving northeast, and then once that hook echo developed and that tornado dropped, sharp right turn right into Moore. That can happen. That happens in a lot of supercells. It's just a characteristic of strengthening storms, and these storms are moving extremely fast. In the past, about an hour, it's moved from El Reno towards Perry, and that appears to be about 50 miles or so, 50 to 70 miles, and that's a very significant distance in a very short time. That's highway speed storms. You can't outrun these storms, and unless you know that and understand the dynamic of them, you're not going to be able to get out of the way in time. We have a tornado warning now in Pittsburgh, Cherokee, Opolis, Chicopee, Weir, and Asbury, both Kansas and Missouri. This is in a slight or enhanced risk area, and we have a confirmed tornado on the ground there with that storm. What's going on here? There we go. We have a confirmed tornado on the ground and a wind report to the west. That could be that could have been a tornado-related wind gust. I do not know, but let's see once this radar loads. Oh, there we go. And we do have the rotation right south of Chicopee. If you were in that area, you need to seek shelter immediately. Let's see what this has done. It does appear we had very strong rotation in that area, and it looks like it started to weaken, but it's still there, and it's still something that you need to take seriously. Tornado observed, as well as an 1.5 inch hail in diameter. And then we have the tornado possible card for the rest of the cell cluster. These storms today are just really no joke. You just can't mess around. We have a single little cell in Arkansas. Let's see what's going on there. This looks like it will be a hailer. Could have some significant hail with it potentially. And we will just have to see once this loads what's going on with that cell. Alright, radar is downloading the data. So far we've had several confirmed tornadoes. I believe four or five confirmed tornadoes. And there is severe storm here. I just want to look at the hail track, because just because you're not in the high risk area does not mean you're not at risk for hail or even a tornado. As you can see, the supercell west of Little Rock, Arkansas, has a pretty good hook appendage on it and what looks to be a hail core. Let's see what it's warned for. Whoa. Golf ball sized hail and tornado possible. So let's check the base velocity. And we do have broad rotation right there. Doesn't look like there's any debris. It's really hard to tell because it's extremely close to the radar. But let's look at this loop. Alright. Just giving me 2 frames here, I suppose. But then you also have all these cells to the south and southwest of this that can develop and drop large hail and potential tornadoes. But this is a lower threat area opposed to this region, but it still should be watched. Anywhere that is in the slight, even marginal risk has potential for severe weather. We are also getting flooding reports out of Shamrock, Texas. Intersection covered by train spotter. Let's take a look at this cell to the in the Perry area. I love GR2 analysts, but these radar images take way too long to load. Chair is very squeaky. All right. Come on, load. Just want to look at the tornadoes. So if you're in Perry, you need to seek shelter. Perry is a much larger town than Lucien, and we will see where this rotation is in a minute, if it will actually load, because these radars are just not cooperating today, and that is not good. We need cooperating radars. Well, on radar scope, it's looking like there's very strong rotation for that area. Okay, it's not loading.